Don in London, hello. It's December 25th. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, and sometimes recovery from Christmas days in the past where life was very difficult. My addictive substance was alcohol. My behaviour could be equally addictive around people, places, things. Giving Christmas presents ad infinitum and showering gifts wherever I could with whatever money I had at the time. And these days, a little bit more in proportion, I hope, balanced one day at a time with the help of friends and fellowship, and especially family at this time of year. So I'm very lucky to be alive, number one, not indulging in my addictions like I used to, alcohol, behaviour around people, places and things, work, a workaholic. I remember many years working through Christmas, and I don't do that these days. I try to get balance. So what helps me on my happy path of recovery, one day at a time? Well, family, friends, community, professionals helped me become able to hear a message of experience, strength and hope from people who know how to live in recovery and live recovery well, in the solution of living rather than the solution of alcohol. And the people who do that are part of the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I never speak for AA, never can, never will, because it's full of unique, authentic people who speak for themselves where they will. But here I should try and share some experience, strength and hope, which I've learned, and learned from many other people. So it is the very many voices in the fellowship which helps me keep sober one day at a time. So what is this fellowship like? Well, it only exists now, so it's only good for now. And today I'm very lucky. There are meetings all day long of the fellowship down the road in a place called Flood Street, the Hall of Remembrance, which is open all day for anybody interested in sobriety, and many people are, because if you have the malady, you want to be out of it, or if you want to, and the two ways of looking at being out of it, one is seeking oblivion from reality, which is very difficult, or actually inviting reality and being a part of reality on a daily basis. But the fellowship is as good as you see on the day. What you see is what you get, and it is the very many voices which count, from those who have just had a drink, which happened a few days ago, where a person stood up and said, I've had a drink today, and the only place where I feel I can get sober again is in the fellowship. Now that doesn't apply to everybody, because there are other ways to find sobriety. I like to stick with what I know works for me. So the fellowship of AA, full of unique, authentic people making their way one day at a time on their path of recovery. But we collide and get together and share about what is working. That's the solution, and what's not working, that's the problem. And life is difficult. So I share some readings here, and I also start with the AA preamble, which is on this little card, followed by a daily reflection for today, 25th December, and then hopefully I'll just share something from the big book called How It Works, how it worked for me. And I can only talk about me. It's anonymity, it's exclusivity, if you like, to find truth. So if I find the truth, I have my spiritual connection to living, which is the ability to cope with now. So that's where I'm starting. The AA preamble, and it's quite cold here in London, UK, and we're going to have clouds, but many parts of my country are going to be sunny and very cold. So, Alcoholics Anonymous, what is it? The preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Simple as that. Help each other stay sober one day at a time. But we are affiliated to anything that we believe in. We just keep our affiliations to ourselves, or share in a general way about them. We don't try and convert people to anything. We all make a decision on a daily basis. Do I want to be sober, or don't I want to be sober? And sometimes it's a conscious decision. We have to work out hard. And sometimes it's just easy to say, I am powerless over alcohol, and if I took a drink, I would have an unmanageable life again. And what happened to me some years back, it's quite a few now, I remember my last inebriated Christmas, where I attempted to put on a brave face, go to my mother's house to have dinner with her. My sister was away with her partner, and that life has changed too, because he died, not of this disease, but of another one, which is not related. He was not an addict or an alcoholic. And I remember that Christmas lunch trying to just eat something and pretend to be alright to my mother. And I wasn't. I was very, very shocked and unstable, and it was almost my last day on earth, I suspect. Anyway, life has changed, so I'm in the solution, and that's the solution of living sober. The daily reading for today, from the Daily Reflections, this book, 365 days, 1 page a day, all about the 12 steps for personal sobriety and the 12 traditions for fellowship survival. So personal survival, 12 steps for me, principles of living and helping me make my life work, or just enjoying life as it is today. If I can enjoy it, good. If it's a sad day, I have sad feelings. So as long as my feelings fit my experience, I guess I'm alright. So December 25th, it says this: at peace with life. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. And it's God's will, or good conscience, or whatever you believe yourself, which is important, not what I say, or not what you read in a book. It's what works in your life. Excuse me. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. So my self-will, self-thinking, thinking, the obsession of getting it right around people, places, things, drinking, using my willpower to try stop every day for a long time when it came down to it, but I couldn't do it on my own. So thy will, not mine. Thy will, good conscience, truth, love, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. I read this passage each morning to start off my day, because it is a continual reminder to practice these principles in all my affairs, and the principles of the 12 steps, and the 12 traditions too. They are but suggestions, they are not rules or regulations. There are none in fellowship. They are merely suggestions in how we can conduct ourselves on a daily basis. So that's why fellowship is what you see, is what you get on one day. That's as big as it gets, or as small as it gets. When I keep God's will, thy will, or good conscience, at the forefront of my mind, I am able to do what I should be doing, and that puts me at peace with life, with myself and with God, or my good conscience. So, what does that mean to me? Well, it means that, life isn't revolving around me. I'm just a part of life. And sometimes I play a significant role in my own life, or maybe just another part of somebody else's life, just sharing a message, or just being a part of family and being able to enjoy the day, especially Christmas Day, rather than have an endurance test of how far can I go before I get so blotto I can't see the rest of it. And in the past, that's what I wanted. I sought oblivion because I thought oblivion was the best place to be. And how wrong was I? Now I know it's quite different. So I'm time sensitive. Daily reflections done. I share the serenity prayer and then move on to the big book. That's what I'm focusing on today, how it works. So the serenity prayer, in any moment on any given day, tells me what is possible and what is not possible, what I can do and what I cannot do. Can do is freedom of choice to make the right decision, or just go with the flow of somebody else's right decision. It doesn't matter. It's what is important. What I can do and what I can't do is the serenity prayer, and learning the wisdom of what is the difference. So that serenity prayer to God or good conscience, depending on your belief system, doesn't matter whether you're an agnostic, atheist or God believer, the reflection works because it's a reminder of can do, cannot do. God, or to good conscience, grant me the serenity or peace of mind to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me is always just for today. And so onward. The AA Big Book was never a favourite read of mine for 35 years because it suggested I do something which was different to what I thought I was built to do, which was to drink like crazy, be the last man standing, be the person who could still talk coherently, nonsense at the end of the evening, or nonsense in my own head. So these days I try not to go for nonsense. I try to go for something which is inspiring and useful. And chapter 5, how it works in the Big Book, is as it says. This is how it works. And I'll give a bit of extra commentary because that's what I do. How it works, chapter 5. And the last time I read it out was the 19th of October 2008. So it's a while since I put it into a video. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And don't forget, I was a failing person, so I didn't follow it thoroughly. I was a pedant. I was still stuck in my own ideas. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. And most of us can't to start with because we're still blinded by our thinking and obsession of being right and being able to stop on our own accord. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. And of course we are completely dishonest with ourselves at our last drink probably, or maybe that's the first time, a moment of clarity and honesty. I cannot do it on my own. There are such unfortunates. I was one of them. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. I suspect I was. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. I didn't know what honesty was. I thought I was honest. I was always a very truthful person, I thought. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders. Like me, I have clinical depression. Now I've had it diagnosed properly for years. I'm okay because I know what to do. But many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. And that was the hardest thing, to face the truth of what I have become. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We just refused. We didn't think it would apply to us. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, and we'd been trying for years to stop, in many cases, I had. But we could not, and there was no rhyme or reason why I couldn't stop, except the obsession and not knowing how. With all earnestness at our command, we beg you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. And I wasn't. Some of us tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil, until we let go absolutely. And what I had to let go of was my determination to do it on my own, and prove to the world I was still the big I am I thought I was, or just simply me, but I didn't know who I was anyway. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling and powerful, and I didn't know how powerful until I tried to stop it, and then it really had me in its grip. Without help it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God, and again, may you find him now. The God of my understanding is truth, love and wisdom, not what I believe the truth to be, not my opinion or self-belief. So truth is the absolute truth of my situation and what's going on around me. And the only way I find that is through good conscience, to appeal to my inner self, to tap into the world and what it can offer me, to support me. And there is a support all around. I just didn't know it was there anymore. And I call that God. God is truth, love and wisdom. But whatever you choose as a higher power is your distinction, if you like, and it's something which works in your life to access good conscience and all the rest. And it goes on to say, half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point, death or get sober. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Yes, I did let go and ask for help. I cannot do this on my own. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. These are the 12 suggestions of the steps. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. I could do that, admit it. That my life had become unmanageable, and it was. I'd wrecked it. I was street homeless. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Well, in my first 90 days, I suddenly realised there were a bunch of people in fellowship who had an answer on a daily basis, just one day. So maybe I could join in being just one day rather than thinking I knew it all over again. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So for me it's good conscience, truth, love and wisdom. Wisdom gained from other people. So it's the universe, whatever you choose God to be, bigger than us, where the wisdom resides, and that's it, wisdom through people for me. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Yes, an inventory of what happened over those 35 years and before, the good and the bad, where I had resentments and anger. Then admitted to God, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, and mine were self-harm and then harming others, and anger and resentment, and I shared it. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character, and my defects of character fall into 3 categories: fear, putting on a brave face, and my ego stopping me getting through to the truth where I can have self-esteem. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. So for me the deficits, or not enough of, shortcomings were courage, faith, confidence. I needed to actually develop my courage, faith and confidence in living one day again. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And that simply is saying, okay, who've I harmed in my life, and how do I make amends? How can I make restitution? And that's not immediate. It takes time to make that list, and it can only be done when we've done our personal inventory. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, when to do so. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So if we can make amends and restitution, we do, no matter what it is, in a most appropriate way, without harming others. So we don't need to rake up the coals to make ourselves feel better about what we thought we did wrong. We need to take a balanced view, and for that balanced view we share with another human being, or as many as it takes, professionals, non-professionals or fellowship. Continued, and these 3 are the most important for me. So first 9 steps, all about making sure I've done something about my life experience, what I did, where I've caused harm, where I can make restitution. And then the 10, 11, 12 steps. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. So we're not perfect, we only live one day at a time, and the more mistakes we make, perceived mistakes or just learning experiences, we have the humility to own up to our part in matters. And it's not about what other people have done, it's what I've done that counts, to keep my side of the street clean. And at the same time, when I'm doing step 10, which is an inventory of how I've done for a day, I put in gratitude as well. What's worked? So step 10, what hasn't worked? And also the gratitude list of what has worked. And often it is in the apology, the forgiveness, and learning a new way of doing something. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, and that's a reflection or meditation to what is the good path today, and these steps only work for a day. Praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So prayer and meditation is like any sort of reflection or meditation. It has a purpose, and it's so easy to forget that these things are not recitations, God help me today. It's let go and let good things happen, but also have to work very hard at life like we did before, because the effort of drinking is far greater than the effort of not drinking, but the effort put into life is difficult, continues, and we become forever learners again with humility. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we're trying to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So in a general way, that's why I do these videos. And I'm just checking the time, I'm going on a bit. No doubt, I hope you've switched off by now and gone to your Christmas dinner, or whatever celebration you have or festival you have at this time of year. I'll just say that one again, step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening, which for me was how to live in the day, one moment at a time, where my feelings match my experience. That's the spiritual awakening, living life on life's terms in the moment. We try to carry this message to all alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And for most people, when we are asked for help, we try and give it as best we can, or we know somebody who may be able to help, because we are not all right for all people. We're only right for some. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order, I can't go through with it," and that was me. And from first meeting to second meeting it was 5 years, because I was so angry and resentful. I knew better, and I sat in the pub and thought about it a lot that first day, and then ran away from myself and the world. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints, and indeed I never will be. I'll be nowhere close. I'm still a learner. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. And spiritual lines are truth, love, wisdom, open, honest and willing for me. 6 good words. These principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. The truth is, reality is perfection. It's what we do with it is the question. Our description of the alcoholic, a chapter 2 of the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, and I couldn't. Although I said I could, I couldn't. I was isolated and alone. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Well, I know no one human power, but the power of many voices with truth, love, wisdom to share has helped me immensely. That God could and would if He were sought. So that God of your understanding, be you atheist, agnostic or God believer, we all have a conscience, and that can be the channel through which we learn. Good conscience, not a bad one, where it's all about me. We're not sociopaths. We're human beings, mostly. What a lot of information. And it took me years to really feel comfortable that these 12 steps were not constraining me. They were actually freeing me up to be a real human again, just with humility to learn how to be open, honest and willing to live one day at a time. Same as fellowship. What you see is what you get. It's attraction, not promotion. Nothing is guaranteed in this life, and certainly nothing is guaranteed around recovery, because life keeps on happening. It's what we do, how we live in the solution today, rather than hark back to the problem and how it used to be. So that's it for today, Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate Christmas, and merry everything to festivals shared by everybody around these times. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. for me and forever is in the moment and just for today.